All that matters is output. Period. End of story. That is my mantra. All that matters is output. We do a lot of, as creative people, we do a lot of sitting around talking about what we're going to do. Doesn't matter. All that matters is output. So I wanted to take this time to give everybody a pep talk and remind you that all that matters is output. I'm not saying quantity of output. When I've explained, it's hard to really define this, right? It's just a mantra to live by. Work towards the output. Because if you spend your whole life saying, "Oh, it's not good enough," you'll never output anything, and then it doesn't matter. All that matters is output. You have to set your own limitations. You have to be okay with how you are and who you are and where you're at, and you have to output. Otherwise, nobody will know what you're doing. And if you want to live in obscurity, that's fine. But let's face it, we're musicians, and the only way to make an actual living is to break out past obscurity. Otherwise, musicians make the same today as they did in the 70s, and the cost of everything else around us has gone up. It's really, really hard to just be a gigging musician around town. And so you have to output. We have to work on, that's why we do Freeform Fridays. It's why we do this podcast. It's all output. Steven, I'm sure you could appreciate that. If you take 100 photographs and you never make any for sale, what's it matter?
Right, and from a writer's standpoint, it's like if you're not constantly writing, you're not writing. It's like you can't be a writer if you're not constantly trying to put stuff out there.
Right.
And to me, the big point is to not overstress and overanalyze everything. Like you should start each project with a clear vision of what the end goal is. And if you can't figure out what the output should be, you're not ready to start.
Right.
And once you start, don't like perfectionism is the enemy of goodness.
Yeah. Perfectionism is the enemy of output.
Yeah.
Not necessarily goodness, but you have to get to a point where you go, it's not going to get better in a reasonable amount of time. That's why record labels exist, because we kind of put these parameters on things. We're going to record it on this date. An album is going to come out of that day. So show up with your A game. And if you don't like it, I'm the one who has the right to not release it, not you. Like, you have to give that over if you're going to ask somebody else to pay for any part of the process. And I've met a lot of people. I'm sure every one of them watching will think I'm speaking directly about them. But there's a lot of these people where they like to talk about what they're doing, and they practice a lot, and they like to talk about how much they're practicing, and they like to talk about other musicians and what they're practicing and what they're doing. That's all fun, but it has nothing to do with output.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ben? Of course, you're in that part of your life where you have assignments.
Yeah.
Output is demanded of you.
I'm also still in that part of my life where I think I'm still rapidly climbing the...
I have news for you. It never stops.
Yeah.
It never stops. If you're hitting a lull where you don't feel like you're improving, it's time to change up your routine. It's time to seek guidance from others. It's time to fix that. But if you constantly reassess and you stay intellectually curious and you put forth the energy, you will always improve at a vast rate. I'm a lot better now than I was a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's not entirely clear which videos are which on the Freeform Fridays playlist, but you can hear a difference between like the ones with the Regal Cat and the ones from that first session when you came in. We're a lot better.
Yeah.
Never stops. It goes on for years and years and years. But the funny thing is it's totally non-linear too. Like, the reason you fit in isn't because we're so much better than you or not. It's because better and worse are not, it's not a linear comparison. We all play different. We're all at different parts of our lives. And it all comes together. And I wonder if we're going to hear my neighbor mowing.
Yeah.
This is not a soundproof room. It's actually very tough.
Yeah.
All right. So all that matters is output. So get off YouTube. Go practice. Go make something. Put it out into the world. And before you do that, send it to me. Show it to me. And if you want me to release it. What's next?